I hate to sound like a broken record, but I have to keep on saying this, that life abroad is not for everyone. And I know, this channel is about telling you how to move abroad, giving you certain aspects and tips and tricks and all these kind of things of whether abroad life is for you or not. Then that is something that I have talked about here and giving you all the pointers of how to move and so on and so forth. But the reality is, life abroad is really not for everyone. Believe me, this is not for everybody. Why do I say this? It's because there's a lot of things that happen in between you deciding to move to a certain country and you living there and you accumulating years of living there or days of living in a different country. And there's a lot that happens along the way, to the extent that when maybe you go back to your home country, people will always say, oh, you've changed quite a lot. The reality is, yes, the change is there. You're expected to change, and in fact, if you don't change, then this is actually a big problem. So expect to change quite a lot, and don't be remorseful of the change or having to feel so bad that you changed, or maybe you got a certain accent, or maybe you decided to go a different direction in your thought process. There's a lot that changes. So this video is to prepare you to expect some of the changes that you might not have thought about before leaving or before thinking of moving abroad, such that you can open your mind and realize it this for you. Or maybe if you are already living within a certain country, then you can let me know whether these are some of the changes that you have experienced over time and how it has been now as compared to when you were thinking of moving abroad. So one of the things that you will definitely experience is the cultural changes. So the cultural changes can be a shock or can be like a wow moment, depending on what exactly is you're facing at a certain period of time. So cultural shocks can be like, for example, things that you're not used to. Like one of the things that I was not used to when I was in Kenya was keeping time. So, you know, in Kenya, sometimes you say, oh, I'm just around the corner, but you know, it's like about 3 hours around the corner or 4 hours or 5 hours. You can plan to meet someone at midday, but you will only see them at 5 p.m., which is something that is so normal, do you know? But when I came to Portugal in the first place, or actually I was super shocked because, you know, I mean, the Portuguese people do not keep time as much. It's okay to get late, maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour or so, but you cannot get late for 5 hours and you expect that person to still be waiting for you. That's not going to happen. So this is a cultural aha moment that, you know, you need to keep time. And in fact, in places like in Germany, if you're not keeping time to the dot, that's a problem. And especially if you're even going to work in places like Germany, you really do need to keep time to the T. In fact, if you are on time, you're late already. So it's very crucial to realize that certain cultural changes will happen, and things to do with like food, the food that you're used to back in Kenya or back in your own home country will not be the same, will not taste the same. Like, for example, I came here and I was like, you know, the meat here does not meet the way it meets in Kenya. Do you know what I mean? You know, the nyama choma. So some of these changes in terms of the food, how it tastes, the texture of it, you know, what you're used to is not going to be the same. So you have to be ready for this type of change because it will happen. And in fact, I've heard of stories, for example, in the US, there's a whole discussion about how food is like in the US and, you know, how over-processed is as compared even to African countries or even in the European continent. So there are all these changes that occur in terms of the food, and you have to be very careful in terms of doing your own research so that you're not caught off guard. Other things that will definitely catch up with you would be things to do with the black tax expectations. So you move abroad like this and friends back at home will increase the black tax like nobody's business. You will find yourself being added into committees and committees and committees and committees just because you moved abroad, and so you possibly are minting money in the trees in the country that you moved into. Another thing that you would expect to happen, do you know what? Like, I don't know, it's a mentality that is there, because you find yourself having to say no to several people, and these are people who could potentially were just acquaintances when you're back home, and they possibly didn't even have to say much to you before, but now just because you're abroad, the black tax goes all the way up. So one thing that you can learn is to say no to several people, because the more you keep saying yes, it will make you drain, because you also have maybe your immediate family that you're trying to take care of, you're trying to send them money, but there's also expectations from acquaintances and friends that you have to maintain, and it's very important for you to learn to say no, and yes to maybe those you think that are legitimate, but immediately you move abroad, the black tax goes up. So that's one other thing that you will notice immediately. One other thing that you also realize is the fact that you start attaining certain changes. So you're living in that new country, you're learning new systems, you're trying to find your way around in terms of whether it's work or you're studying, and you are ensuring that you're balancing pretty much everything, and you find yourself that you're getting accustomed to the systems and the new ways of life. So you might find yourself changing a lot in terms of things to do with how you think, how you perceive certain issues, how you perceive certain troubles, certain highs and lows. You will find yourself that you're changing to the extent that if you visit your home country once again, then you're thinking in a very different way, and people will start telling you, oh, you've changed quite a lot. Do you know what? It's expected. Please do not be remorseful of that. It is expected for you to change because you're in a new environment, you're trying to get accustomed to the new environment, and you owe nobody no explanation. So it's important for you to guard that and ensure that you're sticking true to yourself, because you're the one who has experienced the new life in a new different country. And when you compare your mindset to the mindset that you used to have back in your home country, there are two different things, and there's no going back sometimes. So give yourself that grace to ensure that you're not wallowing and wondering how to keep on explaining to pretty much everybody that, oh, you know what, I went here, I experienced this, maybe I even changed my accent. Have yourself some grace, because this is not something that just happens just because. It's because you have to get accustomed to the new systems, and you owe nobody any explanation. So give yourself that grace. One other thing that you will notice almost immediately is the hyper independence. The hyper independence when you are abroad is on another level. What do I mean is, for example, if you're in Kenya or any other country, you find that it's so easy to find help. For example, maybe if you want food cooked or you want repairs done, it's so readily available to the extent that we almost take it so much for granted that I will just go outside just because I need to repair my shoe. I just go outside and I'll just ask a cobbler to quickly repair my shoe. Within 10 minutes, I will have a shoe repaired. When you move to certain abroad countries, you will not even have these services readily available. You possibly need to book an appointment for certain things, which are not necessarily the same when you're back home. Or maybe if you want to have a chef in your house, it becomes very expensive when you are abroad, as opposed to when you're in your own home country, where you will go to a mama boga or you will go to just a market in the village and you will find food that is readily available for you, or you'll just be able to hire help super easily. It's not the same. So you end up having to do so many things on your own. So you have to be the cook, the cleaner, the plumber, pretty much everything, the one who plans your own time. You have to show up for yourself, because there's nobody else who is coming to show up for you. And that is where the hyper independence checks in, because it's not even easy to avoid the hyper independence. You will not avoid it, because otherwise then you will end up not doing anything. So hyper independence in terms of being able to have a mindset of I can do it myself. It's very important for you to realize this because it's going to hit you as fast as you get into the new country. So in terms of even, for example, small things like going to the supermarket and having your shopping packed by somebody else, this is not something that happens abroad or so often. You will find that you'll go to the point of service at the very end and you will have to pack your things in your own bags, carry them to your own car or to your own transport, public transport. And this is not something that maybe you might be used to, you know, like in Kenya, we just easily give someone that job to carry for you stuff to your own car or to even the public transport if it's too heavy. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Now, another thing that you also need to learn by your own is, you know, the different languages, the different ways of life, things like profiling, which I've talked about a little on this channel, things to do with getting around the challenges of the different country. It can be quite lonely. I've also talked about this on this channel, that the loneliness hits you almost immediately. You miss your people, you miss your family, your friends, and it's easy to wallow down into a mental hole. So it's important for you to find your own tribe and make sure that you are constantly connecting with them such that it becomes easier. So in any case, if you find some challenges, if there are some highs or some lows that you want to share with them, then it becomes an easier process. So it's very crucial for you to maintain such a community such that, you know, you're not wondering what's happening to you every single other time, and you're not wallowing into a depressive moment. So it's very crucial for you to realize that this is going to hit you very, very, very fast. So the phases of you moving abroad will be from the excitement to the coming into terms of a new world, facing various challenges, facing various things that you need to take care of yourself. And this video is not to scare you. I will tell you for a fact, some of the things when you move abroad, they take time before they actually show up well for you. It takes time, but it is a slow burn that is worth it eventually. So give it the patience that is required, give it the energy that is required, ask for help, talk to people as well. As much as this might sound fluffy to some, it's just the reality, because it will hit you for sure. I want you to leave a comment on the comment section below and let me know what you think, whether you've been living abroad and you're listening to this and you're like, yes, I totally agree with you, or yes, maybe I did something different that has helped me, or maybe you're thinking of moving abroad and you have this mindset of what might happen in the future and maybe it's not gonna be the same. So go ahead and leave a comment and let me know, interact with me, give this video a thumbs up, and I do hope for the very, very best as you move abroad. Really, this video is not to scare you, it's just to give you a reality check and let you know that life abroad, it's okay if it's not for everyone. It's okay for you if you come abroad and you're like, oh, this is not life for me. It's okay to pack your bags once again and go back to your home country. It's okay to hold on and feel that it's quite difficult and you cannot hold on anymore. It's okay if you are back home and you're like, you know what, I don't want to move abroad. Really, it's really okay. We can thrive in various different places, and it's okay. Let's normalize having to thrive in wherever we are in the world. Really, it doesn't have to be abroad. In most cases, it can be just back at home, it can be in your own home area, it can be where you feel comfortable in, and it's okay to have that as well. So I do hope this video has been of a good insight for you, and until next time, have a good one and stay subscribed. Bye.